Hey guys, this is Arkel here, and first of all, I apologize for the lack of interest in this particular video. I kind of just sort of want to talk about my feelings and just stuff that I've been thinking about as far as like the hobby for me and my collection and stuff. So I just sort of wanted to get my feelings out cohesively, so I didn't really set up any kind of doll to look at or anything like that. I just really wanted to just sort of share my feelings and stuff. So I'll probably just have like a nonsensical doodle or something in the background of this video. I have no idea, or just words or something, I don't know. But yeah, I really just sort of want to go ahead and talk to you guys sort of about my feelings and that kind of stuff in the hobby. So this video will be kind of long and rambly and not super interesting, but I figure that most of you guys go through a similar kind of thought process with your dolls and your collection and stuff, so maybe it's kind of relevant to you. And if you want to give me any helpful advice, I guess, on some things that I say, that would also be really appreciated too. But I kind of share this hobby with you guys, with other people and stuff, so I want to be like as honest and really tell you guys the way that I feel like at the moment, so I don't surprise you guys with like random changes or just thinking that, you know, my thoughts come out of nowhere, which is definitely not the case. I really want to be like honest with you guys and just not be like, oh hey, by the way. But anyway, I guess there's kind of a lot to talk about, but I will say that I've kind of been feeling a little bit like sad recently, and like with my dolls and my collection and stuff, and that sounds kind of extreme, but I've been having kind of like sad feelings, I guess. And I've really, within the last, it's been quite a while, I guess, since I've noticed this, but more pressingly in the last like month or two, or 3 or 4 maybe, I don't know, it's been quite a while, honestly, but I've really just been thinking about my dolls as a collection, and sort of like the final product of what I want my dolls to be, because for me this hobby is definitely about collecting and having like my perfect group of dolls that I really enjoy, and not about just like having a bunch of pretty dolls or just buying a bunch of dolls. For me it's really about the sort of completion of a collection for me, and that's really been something that's been on my mind for a really long time recently, and I really want my dolls now more than ever to really be like cohesive and to really work well together, because a lot of the dolls, the characters that I have as dolls, they're significant to other characters that I have as dolls. And when I first sort of got into this hobby, it really wasn't a big, like, pressing thing in my mind to have all of my dolls look really cohesive together. It wasn't something that I really put a lot of thought or like desire into at first, but now that I've been in the hobby for a while and I have a good amount of dolls, it's just something that's become ever more pressing and important to me. I really want that for my collection as a whole. I want my dolls to look good together, and I want them to be proportionately the way that I envision them, and that's something that's really important to me recently. And I say recently, but it's been something that's been kind of eating away at me for quite a long time, like I said, for months and months now. And case in point, honestly, is specifically I'm talking when it comes to Etzel and Shu, who are 2 dolls that I have right now. And again, I guess it's only not that many of you, but for those of you who do know me from DeviantArt or know my drawings and characters, and you guys know that those 2 characters of mine are very important, and they're dolls that I've had for quite a while, and they're very important characters, and they're very important to each other. But maybe you guys might wonder why I never put them in videos together, or I never take pictures of them together. It's not because I don't want to. It's quite the opposite, really. I really would love to have dolls that work well together and that I can take pictures of together and that I can pose together. But it's really become like, it's like sort of ate away at me all this time, honestly, that I don't think I've ever really liked the way that Shu and Etzel look together. And like I said, it didn't really bother me that much before because it wasn't something that I like really cared about. Like I didn't really care about my dolls like working together with each other. It was more so making sure that individually they fit the vision that I had for them. But now it's becoming much more like important to me that they work well together as well as fulfilling the ideas that I have for them. But unfortunately, Shu and Etzel have never really had that sort of like chemistry, I guess, in doll form for me. I guess that's the proper term. I've just never really liked the way they look together, and it really, really does make me sad because I probably mentioned it before, but Etzel and Shu are probably my two favorite dolls that I have. Shu, of course, being my very first doll, and Etzel is probably my favorite doll, hands down. I really, really love his face and just the way that he captures that character very, very well. And like his skin color is perfect, and just now he has new eyes, which are really great. And even though he still has a really crappy face up, I still love him to death. And yeah. And of course, I love Shu so much too because like he's my first doll, and I never thought I'd even get his character as a doll. When I first looked into this hobby, I'm like, it will never happen. But just like seeing them together, I just don't like the way they look. And I guess some people might disagree. You might think that they do, but for me, they just don't work together for me, which is really, really unfortunate. Especially because Shu's head is really, really big. Yeah, if you don't know, Krobydell Camille / Heidi has like the biggest melon head ever, and they have giant sticking out ears, and they have really big eyes too, which I really, really like the eye part. But yes, they have giant melon heads, and they're bigger than the average like Volks MSD as well. Like they're just huge, and proportionately, I just sort of really want my dolls to work together, and Shu and Etzel just kind of don't. And it just makes me sad because I really don't like the idea of selling either of them, which is kind of like what I'm getting into now. I know that was kind of direct, but I really don't like the idea of like selling either of them because I really, really like them so much, but it's just that feeling of not liking them together, which has really, really been bothering me for the longest time. And I've reevaluated my collection and my dolls, and I have come to terms with the fact that I really do really, really want my dolls to work together cohesively. That's something that I absolutely do want from my collection in the future. It's something that I want to work towards. So it's just make me really sad, and just I don't know, it's just been really on my mind lately, and I just wanted to share it, that I don't really know what I want to do about it, because like I said, I love those two dolls so much. And unfortunately, I just don't have the funds to sort of like just grab a new doll and see how that works. It's kind of in the position where I have to sell dolls right now if I wanted to get a new one, which is really unfortunate, but it would realistically be like probably a half of a year at least to save up the money to sort of like get a new doll at this point, which is unfortunate, but it's kind of what it's come down to. So I really have to think about my collection as a whole and what I want it to be, and maybe it's a little extreme, but I feel like if there's something in my hobby and my sort of happiness that isn't what I want it to be, I feel like I should be able to change that and make it perfect, because really the point of having a hobby is to be happy in it, and if you're not happy, then you should try to work to change it and to be happy. I think that's really important. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, so I've just been thinking a lot about my dolls as a whole, and there might be some changes that will come to the future, which really, really makes me sad. I still have to decide on exactly what I want to do, but more than anything, I know that I want what I want from the hobby now more so than I did before, and I really want to work towards that. And that may mean that I have to sacrifice some things or change some things around. And I know that not all of you might understand, because it's really hard when you see people sell dolls and stuff like that, because you get attached to them, and maybe you won't like the shell that they have in the future quite as much, and you won't feel the same connection to them. Trust me, I totally understand. Like, it's as hard as it is for the person selling dolls, it's also hard for someone that admires someone else's dolls, because you get attached to them and you don't want to see them differently. But as someone that actually, you know, someone that actually is like owning the doll, you have to still be aware of what you want from your hobby, and sometimes that requires you to do things you don't necessarily want to, but it's for the better of your hobby and your enjoyment. I don't know if I'm making too much sense, but yeah, I just sort of want to share that with you guys, and just, like I said, just share that with you guys, because I think I owe that much to you, to explain myself and my reasonings and my thought process and what I want from the hobby, and not just be like, oh, by the way, I hate this doll now, so I'm selling it. Because that's not no, that's not how I feel at all. It's definitely not how I feel at all, but I really do think that I need to make changes, because I want my collection to be, in my eyes, perfect, and not something that constantly annoys me, if that makes sense. Not saying that Shu and Etzel annoy me, it just together, just anyway. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but yeah, I've kind of rambled on about this for a while. It hasn't been too long, but still, I feel kind of bad, but thank you if you listened. Really, it really means a lot. Just sort of like vent, I guess, which is not something that I usually do, but just sort of talk to you guys about how I'm feeling and just be honest and stuff. It's something that I really wanted to do. And also, I just want to throw in as well that I've really thought about, like I said, my collection and myself in the doll hobby and exactly what I want from it, which is something that I didn't quite know when I first joined the hobby. Obviously, I had an idea of certain characters and dolls that I wanted, but now it's become much more clear as I've been in the hobby for longer. And I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I really enjoy smaller dolls, and I really don't want any SD size dolls. I know I might change my mind in the future, which would be fine, you know, there's no big deal. Like, I'm not saying that I absolutely will not change my mind, but as it stands now, I really want my characters to sort of be in the MSD, OSD, that kind of range. Or even smaller than that, and I don't have any intention of getting dolls bigger than that. I've kind of lost interest in that sort of, like, range. I don't have any interest in that anymore at this moment in time. So it also makes me pretty sad, because some of you guys might know that I actually do have a floating head. Such a weird term. But I do actually have a floating head that is SD sized, and I love that head. It is just so cute, and I'm so lucky to have gotten one, since it's pretty darn rare. And I hate the idea of, like, parting with it, but at the same time I have to be realistic and, like, understand that I'm probably never gonna have an SD sized doll. I kind of really don't want one, so me holding on to something that I'm not gonna use is kind of really stupid. So, just to put it bluntly. So, yeah, I just sort of wanted to share all that with you guys. Again, it's not super relevant to you, but hopefully you enjoyed hearing about it, I guess. I don't know, I just want to be honest with you guys about my feelings. So, thank you guys so much if you listened, but I mean, and this is not really like me saying that I'm going to do any of this stuff like right away. It's just more me expressing how I'm feeling right now, and of course it'll still take a little bit of time for me to like definitively confirm exactly what I'm doing, but I just sort of wanted to tell you guys what I'm feeling and my plans and that kind of stuff. So, long story short, in the near future I might be selling a doll or two, and probably my SD sized floating head, which is a Sweet Gale Malcolm if you don't know. I love that face so much, and I will be very, very sad to see it go, but I just really don't think that I will do anything with it. So, anyway, yeah. Again, thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble. It really, really does mean a lot that you guys take your time out of your day to sort of invest at least a small part of yourself into me and my hobby and my dolls and characters. It really does mean a lot, and I don't know if that seems sincere, but I really, really do appreciate it very much. So thank you guys so much for watching, like I said, and bye!